Are you ready? We are going to fix something. Recently, in a video recently, this happened. Have a look at the video and you'll see why I think it happened. Well, I'm going to resurrect this piece, nothing goes to waste, and we're going to make a platter out of it. Welcome to the channel. My name is Jeff, and I make fused glass project tutorials. As I said, I'm going to resurrect this. Is that the right sort of thing? I'm going to fix it anyway. And we're going to turn it into a platter. I'll show you what I'm going to do very shortly. But before we get into that, just a word of warning, make sure you wear your safety glasses, a mask whenever you need to. Now, I'm using COE 90 glass. If you're using 96 or anything else, make sure you adjust the firing schedule that I'll give you, which will be in the description. And at the end of the video, or whenever you want, put in any comments, any questions, and I will try and answer them for you. Let's get into this. So this is the plan. I'm going to refuse this all back together and make this join up, but on the back here we have this recessed area. And if you're not sure why I've got that there, have a look at the other video and that'll explain it. I'll put a link in the description and maybe a card up there somewhere if I remember. So I'm going to put a piece of black in there, and I think what's going to happen after it's all fused together is I'll end up with this sort of little coloured border around here. Then on this side, besides putting this piece together, I am going to sprinkle black all over this and try and fill these holes, because I don't want to lose the holes. I want that sort of effect where the black shows through. And I'm sure they'll probably close up a bit because there's a bit of glass in here. But if I put some frit in there, even though they may go a bit smaller, I should still keep that effect. So that is the plan. And like all good plans, they go perfectly. Now, because there are little knobs on this, I can't just measure the full width and length of this, so I've got to allow for these. Now, I've been looking at this quite a bit, and it's got a really interesting effect to me. Of course, we've got this fuzziness around the black where the frit was, and then the black on the bottom, I assume, has come up as well. It does give a really interesting sort of out of focus effect. So I actually quite like that, but fortunately I am going to have to sandblast it and fire polish it. You can see all the little bits of devet, excuse me, I think why that's come about, which I sort of half expected. Where the strips had gone over the former and touched the former, it left that a little bit rough. And you could see that in the woven piece. But in the woven piece it wasn't real obvious. But now that this is all fused flat, that has come to the surface. So we've got, see if you can see it there, we've got little bits of devet where that happened. Now obviously some of it is just devet because of the type of glass or whatever, but that's where it is primarily, is where the pieces would have been moulded over those formers. So I am going to have to sandblast this and fire polish it. I could just put clear frit over it, which is actually a thought. I could just put clear frit over it and refuse it. But then I also want to do these edges. The edges aren't straight, and I want to get them tidied up. Also want to get rid of these joins here that you can see on the back. I've got that nice odd shaped border. That's where that crack was through there, so sandblasting will take that off. These same sort of thing where the frit come down through. Sandblasting will clean all of this up. So I think it's sandblasting, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is get all the edges right, then sandblast it, then do a fire polish, and then slump it. Now, there's an interesting effect which you probably can't see in the video here. This is black. I'm so busy talking here, better make sure this is in camera. This is black, this is clear, and then we've got this opal in here, and no, you won't be able to see it on camera, but the opal slopes up towards the back black here. So, excuse me, this looks losing my voice. This looks raised to the black that is covered in clear. So it's an interesting effect, a bit like a pillow effect. Anyway, I'll shut up. I'm going to lose my voice completely. I'll go and do these edges now. Sandblast it, and then we'll do a fire polish. Okay, I've cleaned up all the edges. Basically, I squared the edges, as you can see there. So I've squared them all. Then I rounded over the top a little bit, and this is because the glass has slumped a little bit more there. But I've just rounded it over, tried to smooth that curve there. I've beveled the corners a little bit, and around the edges I just put a very slight bevel on these edges around here. So now we'll go and sandblast it. There we go. It's all sandblasted, and I hesitate a bit because I'm just trying to decide what I'm going to do with it. We are going to retain that sort of out of focus, fuzzy randomness about all that pattern, which is good. So the sandblasting hasn't taken it off on the back. We may still see some remnant of that crack, but we'll see. So what my decision is why I'm a little hesitant. I can either fire polish this, which was my first idea, was to fire polish it, then slump it, or I can slump it as it is and end up with a more of a matte finish, because this will slump quite quickly. I'm just concerned that if I polish it, that's going to be really evident. If I don't fully polish it, it will be hidden a bit. I'm not too sure about that, but anyway, what would you do? Let me know in the comments what you would do and why it would be a good idea. What am I going to do? I am going to go for it and just slump it, and we'll see how it goes. I can always flatten it out and redo it if necessary, but I think we'll just go for it and slump it, and hopefully we'll get a nice finish. Change of plan. I was going to use this mould, which is the stainless steel one I had made up, which would give it just that gentle curve, but I forgot about this mould which I have, which is quite different. It is a real platter mould, because this, let's get it here, fits beautifully on there. Unintended, but yeah, I think that'll look good. So that's the mould I'm going to use. I'm just going to show you this in the kiln here, because there is something that I need to consider. That mould there, it has a sort of a sharp upturn on the end there, and I just need to make sure that the slump has fully gone down into the shape of the mould. And to do that, I need to see that. So I will be looking through this little side mirror here into the kiln, and you can see there I've set it up so I can see it nice and clear. So something to consider when you're using moulds, if you have to get into some weird position to see whether it has slumped properly, you'll need to consider that. So what do you think? I think it's turned out well. We've got everything that we needed. We've got the shape, we've got the nice satin finish, and we've retained that fuzziness about all the holes there, but you see we've got a nice satiny type of finish to it, which comes about from the sandblasting and no fire polish before we slump it. So the slump is just enough to give it that nice satin finish, and the shape has worked out fine. So I'm happy with that. It's a nice piece, especially when it come out of a rather disastrous piece. Well, that was a little bit of a journey. We started out with just the little checkerboard woven piece, which was more a test than anything. Then we tried to fuse it and made a platter out of it, which we did successfully, but not successfully, because the corner broke off, if you remember, which was my fault, and I was trying to blame the kiln, but it wasn't the kiln, it was my fault, because I didn't consider what was going to happen when I used that bit of float glass in the bottom. If you haven't seen that video, worthwhile going to have a look. I'll try to remember to put a card up here, give you a link to it, and there'll be a link in the description anyway. And so we ended up with a piece that was cracked, and then we've refused it again and taken out that bit of float glass, put a bit of black in there, a little bit of frit, put it all together, refused it. We have then cleaned up the edges, sandblasted it, slumped it, and that's the final result. I'm quite happy with it. I always like that sheen look to the black that you get when you sandblast and then slump straight away, so it only goes to slump temperature, just enough to put that nice sheen on things. So I'm happy with that. Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Any questions, I will do my best to try and answer them for you. And if you really like that, think about membership, think about joining, subscribing, and even think about using that thanks button down the bottom down there. I'd appreciate that. So that's it for this one. Don't forget, up here we've got some example member-only videos and a button to find out some more information. Down here there's a suggested video just for you and a subscribe button. And until the next one, I'll say bye for now.